On this Sunday night, the world's attention hangs on every move at the entrance of a small cave in northern Thailand. Now that 4 boys are safely out in the first stage of a risky operation, we'll look at how they were rescued and what's in store for those still perched in the darkness below. Plus, treating the emotional and physical toll after 2 traumatic weeks.
Also tonight, pain and anxiety for the loved ones waiting above ground. The words of love and encouragement from families and the messages of hope from the boys themselves. A deeply human story unfolding before our eyes. This is The National.
At the edge of the cave, the focus has been on logistics, mitigating risk, and racing the weather. But for the rest of the world, the 12 boys and their soccer coach below have been the focus, never more so than tonight, now that 4 of them are finally free, rescued earlier today. And this is a live look at the hospital where they are now being treated, with preparations already in hand for the others. That is if everything goes according to plan. And frankly, that's still a big if. A lot can still go wrong. But if nothing else, the boys and the rescuers now know that the plan works. Briar Stewart is in Thailand tonight. She walks us through today's successful first phase.
Above ground for the first time in 16 days, the first 4 boys emerged exhausted, disoriented, but alive. Phase 1 of the rescue kicked off this morning after a lull in the heavy rains provided a brief window of opportunity. The boys, all wearing full face masks, were guided through the flooded underground labyrinth, a treacherous 4-kilometer journey that took hours. But in the end, the rescuers exceeded their own expectations, bringing the 4 boys out in less time than practice runs had suggested it would take. The rescue commander praised the boys, the divers, and all those who have offered support. But he also sounded a note of caution. Restocking the cave with fresh oxygen tanks will take 10 hours at least. And with more heavy monsoon rains coming, there are no guarantees of success in what he calls the war against time and water. Even so, today was a victory. The boys were flown to the nearby city of Chiang Rai and then rushed by ambulance to hospital where an entire floor has been reserved for them. They'll be tested for malnutrition, dehydration, and crucially, oxygen levels. Officials have said levels in the cave have plummeted dangerously, possibly as low as just 15%. As for the families, joy and relief for relatives of the 4 boys now safely above ground, even though it will be several days before they can go home. For the families of those still trapped, the excruciating anxiety goes on. But meanwhile, down in the cave, the remaining 8 boys and their coach have been told of today's success, so they know the basic rescue plan works. But their challenge now will be to remain positive, as rescuers warn it could take up to 4 days to get them all out. And that's if the heavy rains hold off long enough. As for the boys who are now out of the cave and in the hospital in Chiang Rai, it will be a long road ahead. Even the strongest boys are likely very weak. They were in the dark in that cave for 9 days before the rescuers found them. During that time, there was very little to eat, and they were drinking water from the stalactite formations. While they're in the hospital here, the doctors will be examining their health and doing a number of tests, but they'll also be assessing their mental health. They went through a horrific ordeal during those 16 days, and the psychological implications of that could last much longer than the physical ones. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Chiang Rai.
As Briar mentioned, leading weakened children who are poor swimmers through an underwater maze of jagged stone, it is staggering that this was the best available plan. The phrase "between a rock and a hard place" has rarely been more apt. Those who remain are stuck here. They have a grueling journey ahead of them, at least 4 hours. It starts by plunging into an underground passageway. Immediately, the current will tug at them. That water is the color of coffee with cream, and lamplight barely pierces it. Each boy is accompanied by 2 rescue divers. One takes the lead, linked to the boy by tether, carrying his air supply. Another follows behind him, in part to ensure he doesn't stray. The passage isn't a straight line. There are blind alleys and dead ends. After a few hundred meters, there's the so-called Pattaya Beach. It's called that because usually there's a dry section here and an air pocket, but it also signals tough challenges ahead. The tunnel can narrow dramatically, including at what's described as a crisis point, where it juts upwards to an opening about half a meter across. That's all. The group will have to shimmy through, pushing their air tanks ahead of them. Eventually, the cave comes to a T-junction. The team will take a right. It's not that far now to Chamber 3, the location of the rescue operations forward base. But it's far from safe. On Friday, Thai Navy diver Saman Gunan was on his way back to that base when he lost consciousness, fatally. About 200 meters later, at Chamber 3 and beyond, conditions get easier. And with luck, those boys and their coach will then walk their final steps to freedom. So joining us now on the technical challenges of these kinds of rescues is the Alberta Speleological Society's Jeremy Bruns. Jeremy, this rescue, I think we all understand, is a dangerous one for even the most experienced of cave divers. But can you walk us through some of the more specific challenges involved here?
Well, from what we can surmise from the diagrams that we've seen online, they're going to be passing through an alternating series of dry and wet passages, and that involves staging a lot of gear that they need to have ready to move their rescuees through there efficiently. So they have those hazards of having those set up properly, as well as traveling underwater in an overhead environment. They're going to be fighting current, lack of visibility, dehydration, and hypothermia all at the same time.
When we hear that in the last few days that they've been teaching the boys about diving, what does that mean exactly? What have they been showing them?
Yeah, well, the rescuers in this case are going to try to keep the workload on the boys to a minimum. So they're not going to be teaching them everything that a cave diver would need to know to cave safely in an overhead environment, but rather how to use the full face mask that they've been talking about using, if that's the case, how to clear that mask if they get water in it, how to avoid panic, keep their heads on straight, so to speak, and to deal with any uncertain situations that they don't expect.
One last question, very briefly. What is the threat of panic?
A couple things can come up there. In particular, if you're hyperventilating, your CO2 levels in your body can get up to too high of a level, and that can cause toxicity and nausea. Also, like I mentioned earlier, getting too cold, hypothermia is a real threat because they're spending a long time underwater. Okay, Jeremy Bruns, thanks very much. You're welcome. So many challenges for those boys and the rescuers to overcome, Rosie. And tonight it has brought clearly helping hands from around the world.
Yeah, it really has, Adrienne. A lot of top-notch professionals and volunteers alike. Let's look at just who is rescuing those boys. It's a diverse group of divers and experts, 50 from other countries, assisting 40 who are from Thailand. And the CBC's Paul Hunter has been looking at the international effort.
We are the first. Many people come.
What day?
With the eyes of the world watching, the world, as it turns out, had come to help.
How many of you? 13. Brilliant.
The English accent underlining the international effort behind the moment they were found a week ago. And indeed, up above, amid the 1,000 or so volunteers and rescuers from Thailand, a bevy of experts from around the planet who'd flown in to chip in. This Israeli diver helping with the rescue says he's never seen anything like it.
No, not really. And those are the best of the best in the world here right now.
From Australia, Japan, Myanmar, Laos, and dozens who'd flown in from a U.S. base on the Japanese island of Okinawa.
We are able to run 24-hour operations, and we have enough folks here to be able to assist the Thai authorities.
Tweeted Donald Trump today, very brave and talented people. Even though a full-on happy ending is still far from guaranteed, the international teamwork is a welcome respite at a time the world's headlines seem otherwise laden with international bickering and often an unwillingness to help those in need. None of that is lost on the foreign rescuers, but their focus remains on those boys. This diver flew in from China, which has also sent gear, including an underwater robot. We should be able to get them out, he says, but there are still many obstacles. Indeed, as the multinational effort continues, the real message from those who've come together to help, they've still got a job to do. Mikko Pasi's a rescue diver from Finland.
Everybody is focusing, getting them out, keeping them alive or getting them out.
A remarkable effort by those from all over, worth savoring as the work continues.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So where you come from?
England, UK. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
For the families, it has been an agonizing wait for a dangerous operation. But handwritten letters delivered from deep inside the cave provided a much-needed surge of comfort and optimism for the loved ones above. Renee Filippone has more on that.
This video was taken days before the boys ventured into the cave. It was after practice. The 12 boys and their coach went exploring. This photo was taken that day. For 2 weeks now, family have been praying for their safe return. Yet hope remains for all, especially since notes from the boys and the coach were brought out by divers.
I felt better as my son said that he was fine and strong. I felt relieved after I had been worried about my son.
The boys' words, laced with humor, illustrate their spirit and concern for their families. 13-year-old Mong Kong writes, "Mom, are you well at home? I am fine. Please tell my teacher as well." Another, "I love you all. I am happy. The SEAL team is taking care of us very well." The youngest, an 11-year-old known as Titan, writes, "Don't worry, I'm fine. Please take me out to a fried chicken shop."
I just want to give him what he wants. Whenever he comes, we would go together to have those fried chicken at KFC together.
14-year-old Adil Samon is the only one in the cave that can speak English. Born in Myanmar, he moved to Thailand by himself to get a better education. Prajak Sutham celebrated his 15th birthday last week while trapped in the cave. His family is camped outside waiting for news.
I want to see his face. I want to see how he gets out, how they get him out. I am so happy.
I think every country, everyone helps the kids to get out.
Those thanks are also going out to the coach, who apologized to the families for taking the boys into the cave. A message to him from the parents attempts to absolve his guilt. It reads, "Every dad and mom isn't angry with you at all, and everyone understands and encourage you. Thank you for looking after the boys."
Renee, that gives us a good sense of those boys and the coach. What more do we know about him, though, given he was the one that took them in there?
Well, Rosie, we know Egg Chanthawong is 25 years old. Officials on the ground say, he is the weakest of the group because he had given his food to the boys that they had taken in with them. And Chanthawong himself had a difficult life. He was orphaned at 10 years old when his entire family died in an epidemic back in 2003. He eventually went on to become a monk, but left a couple years back to join the Wild Boars as an assistant coach for that soccer team. His friends say he was dedicated to those boys, many who came from poor families just like him, Rosie.
So many story threads in there. Renee Filippone, thank you for that in Vancouver.
You're welcome.
For the boys who have been rescued, health is now the immediate focus. They'll have both physical and emotional issues after this traumatic time. We're going to speak to someone who's not only a paramedic and a cave explorer, but also someone who helped rescue a friend from a dire situation underground. A terrifying scene that was captured on video. Before we talk to Andrew Munoz, we want to show you a bit of his rescue.
Hands out. Yeah. Okay. No sudden moves, all right?
That's the voice there of Andrew Munoz, who's wearing the blue gloves, and he's talking to his friend Jason Story. You can't see him, but Story is underneath all that water, caught in an hourglass-like structure called Bastard's Crawl. Munoz helped get him unstuck, but the two then had to sit in darkness for 18 hours before they were rescued. And Andrew joins me now from Duncan, BC. So, Andrew, you've got this unique perspective as a paramedic and someone who's been in this kind of situation. These boys have been in the cave for about 3 weeks. What kinds of physical effects would they be experiencing around now?
Yeah, the physical effects are coming at them from all sides. We hear reports that they had very little food over the first 9 days. So these are young boys, young athletes with very little body fat. So they've probably gone into ketosis or started to cannibalize their muscles and their stores in their livers for energy. Compound that with very little fresh water. They made the decision not to drink the contaminated cave stream, which I think was a good decision, but that means that they're going to be suffering from dehydration. So reduced levels of total body water means that the kidneys start to take a real hit, and your body is unable to reabsorb some electrolytes, and that can cause muscle cramping and even start to affect the cardiac cycle. So the electrical system inside your heart starts to become pretty irritable as well.
The 4 that are in hospital right now, what kind of treatment would you suspect that they would be getting?
They'll be getting intravenous fluid treatment and electrolytes. They'll have a full panel of blood work and labs done to test liver function, kidney function, test for insulin response. They're also going to have their lungs assessed. They were put on antibiotics inside the cave already, just as a precautionary measure against any respiratory system infections like pneumonia or bronchitis, and then also any cuts and scrapes that have been festering in this muddy cave environment for 9 or 10 days will need to be addressed as well.
I imagine the longer-term medical concerns might not be physical here and more psychological. I mean, you were in a situation for 18 hours. I imagine that affected you. What would you expect these young people, these kids really, are going to have to go through from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to extrapolate what happened to me over, a 24-hour period to, now 2 weeks now. Yeah. We'll see these kids definitely having fear of the dark. I think there's going to be night lights in 12 or 13 bedrooms for the next little while. Every time it rains and any kind of fast-moving water, I think these boys will have an aversion to. We have had reports that there's mental health professionals have been on the scene for a number of days, briefing the family and the rescuers on how to approach the boys, not to push them for details too early about their experience, to allow them to internalize some of what has happened, and then to allow that to come out in its own natural way. But as these boys come to the surface, we need to realize that the rescue is far from over, that the technical rescue and first aid is done, but there's mental health first aid that's going to persist for some time.
Okay. Andrew, thanks for your perspective and your expertise tonight.
Thank you.
We have more ahead tonight on the situation in Thailand. You will hear a witness on the ground describe the moment they found out the first boys were rescued. And as the story develops throughout the evening, we will be covering it live here on The National. We are watching a number of other developing stories tonight on The National, starting in London, where police confirm a woman exposed to a nerve agent has now died. They say the case of 44-year-old Dawn Sturgis has now become a homicide investigation. Tests show she and a 45-year-old man were exposed to Novichok. They believe this happened 8 days ago in Salisbury. Now, that's where former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter also came into contact with the nerve agent earlier this year. Downing Street has pointed the finger at the Kremlin, saying it was part of an assassination attempt. Moscow denies it. The other victim remains in hospital in critical condition. Neither of the pair is believed to have any connections to Russia.
This is the most complex negotiation you could imagine.
And that is David Davis, the minister in charge of Britain's exit from the EU. Well, tonight we're learning he is leaving cabinet. Davis cited misgivings about his government's direction with Europe after British Prime Minister Theresa May wrangled factions of her cabinet into a negotiating position considered by some Brexit in name only. Davis's departure is seen as a bit of a blow to that softer version of Brexit and, of course, to Theresa May herself. And the Canadian embassy in Haiti is temporarily closed due to some violent protests over that government's attempt to raise fuel prices. Canadians are being advised to avoid all non-essential travel. Today, Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland issued a statement calling for calm in the country.
I'm very close to making a decision. Have not made it official yet, obviously. Have not made it final, but we're very close to making a decision.
And U.S. President Donald Trump will reveal his nominee for the vacant Supreme Court seat Monday night on primetime television. He says he has narrowed his list down to 4. It will be Trump's second Supreme Court appointment and could help shape the court for years to come.
That's part of the reason so many people voted for Trump, so the kids shaped that Supreme Court. Okay, lots more ahead tonight. Parts of Japan are underwater. A record rainfall has triggered landslides and flooding. We'll look at the rescue efforts now underway.
And a little later, you'll remember this story. A Syrian refugee blinded by disease, hoping for surgery here in Canada. Well, tonight, we can tell you he got it.
All right. Take your time.
A staggering tragedy in Japan this weekend. Nearly 100 people are dead, dozens more missing, and millions have been forced from their homes after major flooding hit the southwestern part of the country. As Anita Bath explains, the washed out roads and the damaged infrastructure are making the rescue and search operations especially challenging.
The rain has collapsed roads and submerged vehicles, trapping some people still inside. Rivers have burst their banks, breaking 2 dams in southwestern Japan, at one point stranding more than 1,000. The floods swept toward us, says one local resident. I rushed my family to get in the car. It was dangerous. I'm 58, and this is the first time I've experienced such a situation. Others are desperately searching for loved ones. We were hoping to find 2 people, but still can't find anyone, he says. In other areas, the landscape is littered with broken telephone poles and uprooted trees. Water levels reach 5 meters, forcing some people to the rooftops, desperate to attract rescuers' attention. Japan's prime minister has warned saving victims is a race against time as authorities issue new alerts and evacuation orders. That worries Vancouver resident Yayoi Hirano, who has family near one of the hard-hit areas.
I can't believe this is happening.
Her 89-year-old mother is relatively safe for now, but Hirano says the Japanese community here is turning to each other for support.
Everybody talking about, what about your family? Barely kind of okay, and but the neighbor died and stuff like that.
Entire towns have already been knocked out by landslides. More than 50,000 rescue workers, police, and military are mobilized, but residents are left feeling ill-prepared as rainfall this heavy hasn't been seen in decades. Anita Bath, CBC News, Vancouver.
Up next on The National, the mission to save the remaining boys and their coach still trapped underground in Thailand. We will have the very latest developments.
But first, he regained his family when he came to Canada as a Syrian refugee. Tonight, that same journey has helped him regain his eyesight.
I told him that, do you see me? And he said, yeah, I see your, I see your beautiful teeth.
More on our top story tonight. Rescuers in Thailand have successfully brought 4 boys to the surface after more than 2 weeks trapped underground. The first phase of the operation was launched just this morning after it became clear that heavy rains would hold off a bit. A mixed team of Thai and foreign divers led the boys through the 4-kilometer odyssey that took several hours. And that means the big effort now is to resupply the cave with fresh oxygen tanks for the next phase, bringing out the remaining 8 boys and their coach. That will take some time. As the rescue commander indicated earlier, 10 hours minimum. That is if the weather cooperates, and it might not. And that is because more heavy monsoon rains are in the forecast, which could push back the projected 4-day timeline to get everyone else out. Worst case scenario, and it really is a worst case scenario, rescuers would have to try to supply them with food and oxygen until as late as October. We will have more on all this, including a glimpse of the first 4 reaching the surface in tonight's moment.
While the world watches with anticipation for the latest updates out of Thailand, we want to bring you up to speed on the story of a Syrian refugee to Canada we first told you about in May. Two months ago, this family, torn apart by the Civil War, was reunited in Vancouver. Canada, of course, has taken in tens of thousands of refugees from Syria since the end of 2016. But this story, well, it stands out. Anis Gamoose arrived here blinded by disease and in desperate need of treatment to restore his sight. He has since had that surgery. So did it work? Greg Rasmussen was there as the bandages came off.
Waiting for surgery, there's no hiding a sister's worry. Will it be eyesight restored, or will Anas Gamoose be left blind forever?
So hi, Anna. Simon Holland. How you doing?
Soon, it's into the operating room.
So then we just open up the cornea now.
A delicate surgery to first remove the cornea ruined by disease and replace it with donated tissue. In the waiting room, his sisters. One is also blind from a similar disease. She arrived in Canada too late to have her eyesight restored.
She's a bit nervous about his surgery, and also at the same time she feels optimistic because we are in this country, great country like in Canada. That's why.
I was just going to.
Dr. Simon Holland has a connection to their home country. Part of a charity, Orbis, that worked on the Syria-Iraq border, training doctors and doing surgery.
I think Anis's case is very special for me. I have a great sympathy and not much understanding, but a great sympathy for the folks in Syria. It's kind of nice in a small way to reconnect, and it's kind of special to help a Syrian patient. Yeah, so he did very well. Yeah.
The operation over, still groggy, Anas is happy he's had the surgery he feared would never come.
He almost lost the hope before coming to Canada. That's what he was saying.
So we'll just get him to come over here.
The next day, the crucial moment. Did the surgery work?
Okay, good. So I'll just take his patch off here. He doesn't want to try and look into that. Should we have a look? All right. Take your time. Can I just try and open your eye? Does he see any movement there?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, how many there?
2.
Okay, here?
1.
Great. So a bit better than before, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right. So he does seem
After 10 years of darkness, suddenly a world of light and fuzzy shapes.
You
can see the letters now, which he couldn't before. Probably hasn't got any significant problem with the back of the eye, so he should be fine.
At the beginning, he saw the 5 fingers of Dr. Holland, so he wasn't actually believing it at the first moment.
من الناحية العاطفية بصراحة ما بعرف لما شفت إيده هيك حسيت إني راح أبكي.
He was very happy that he was almost about to cry. Yeah.
It's a big shock for patients who haven't seen, who suddenly see. It's very normal for them to feel uncertain when they start to have some vision back, right? Yeah. Okay.
I told him that, do you see me? And he said, yeah, I see your I see your beautiful teeth and white. He wants to see all Vancouver.
A history marked by darkness on so many levels. A fractured family, civil war, blindness. A future now framed with hope, a new home, and light. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.
Anis was able to come to Canada thanks to a donation by 4 Americans who wanted to do something to help refugees. We caught up with one of the sponsors, Tom Smith, to get his reaction to the good news about Anis's surgery.
I met Anis when he arrived at the airport in Vancouver. I think the date was May 8th. And I looked into his eyes and I thought, he's beyond help. And so I think it's a miracle that Dr. Holland was able to restore his sight. And I'm glad Then Rick Wandoff, his wife Katie, and my wife Mary Lou and I had a very small part in this process. We're just grateful. We've done, over the years, we've done a number of different things, but none of them touched me quite like this.
One more note on this story. Smith says they're working with Immigrant Services Society of BC in hopes of bringing another Syrian refugee family to Canada.
Next on The National, the world according to Stephen Fry. The British comedian gives us his views on political correctness, on the case for having a monarchy, and of course, on Donald Trump.
He's the Trumpolo. He's like a Dr. Seuss character. The more you say his name, the bigger he gets. All you have to do to defeat him is never mention his name. Bringing to life of Greek myths. It's called Mythos, using all the miracles of stagecraft, technology, and above all, meanness.
What can't be said about Stephen Fry, a modern-day Renaissance man? It would seem the British comedian has pretty much seen and done it all. And for the last 2 months, he's been living in Canada. His stage play at the Shaw Festival in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, is entering its final week. Over the summer, we are replaying some of our favorite interviews. Just before Fry's play made its world premiere in May, our Susan Ormiston got a chance to sit down with him to talk politics and political correctness. Here's another look at their chat.
Stephen Fry, comedian.
Your tease, eh?
Actor.
No, no, by all things godly, no.
Author.
You will tell me what it was, or I will kill you.
TV host. Podcaster.
We are working together.
Advocate. Playwright. All of that and more. From Blackadder.
You think she'll laugh in my face? I'm too old, too crusty?
To host of QI. From West End to Broadway plays to documentaries, Stephen Fry has carved out a unique place in British culture and increasingly in America.
Is this where the party is happening?
Well, it's a big proper studio, isn't it? Thank you.
But for the next 2 months, he's taken up residence here in Canada, at Niagara-on-the-Lake, at the Shaw Festival. He's taken his latest book and turned it into a trilogy of one-man shows exploring Greek mythology. He visited us recently in Toronto to expound on the world according to Stephen Fry.
So, Greek mythology, from your book Mythos. You're doing a world premiere here in Canada at the Shaw. What are you hoping to draw out of the Greek myths and put on stage?
Well, first and foremost, story. I mean, they are the most wonderful stories that I've ever heard, and they are primal in their absolute, their juice, their excitement, the fact that they're about people. And they answer questions about why and how we are, but always with the use of a story, which I think is, they don't lecture you. They're not moral tales. They don't say, and this teaches you this, although you can draw a moral from it if you want.
Stephen Fry.
Fry doesn't preach from a moral high ground. He has a healthy disdain for oughts and shoulds and political correctness.
I don't care what you call me, it's how we're treated that matters.
At the Monk debates in Toronto, he argued passionately with U of T professor Jordan Peterson that PC culture has gone too far.
Political correctness. Resist. Fight. If you have a point of view, fight it in the proper manner, using democracy as it should be, not channels of education, not language.
So what is it about PC that you don't like?
Sanctimoniousness, self-righteousness, preachiness, holier-than-thou-ness, piety. These are all things I've always hated. When I was growing up, you could argue that political correctness was not offending someone's religion by making a joke about it, or not saying a particular word on television because it was considered rude. And now it's a different set of things that is assumed to be politically correct, but it's the same idea going all the way back to what is heresy and what isn't. And I like to think that I'm an ornery sort of person, a contrarian, if you like, and that if I'd been brave enough in the 15th, 16th century in Spain, I would have been a heretic. Just because
Probably
I wouldn't.
Beheaded.
And yes, of course, the price of heresy was much higher than it is now. The price of heresy now is to be deplatformed or to suffer a Twitter storm or something. But My objection is simply that if you want to advance the causes that I would like to advance in terms of inclusion and diversity and equality for everyone in the nice, fluffy, gorgeous, liberal way that I think about these things, the wrong way to do it is to alienate those who are a little bit on the edge and aren't quite sure by telling them they're speaking wrong, they're using the wrong language, they can't talk like that, you mustn't, you can't. Damn you, I will talk how I want to talk. Don't tell me how to talk. Don't censor me. Don't be a,
But you can be questioned. You're not saying
of course,
no debate.
That's why I'm on the same side in the debate with someone with whom I probably share very little political...
I wanted to ask about that. Jordan Peterson, very controversial in this country, and you're on his side. In what way do you align with his views?
I don't align, as far as I know, with his views. I'm simply approaching the debate according to its proposition. And the proposition is that the other side, as you might say, are saying political correctness is just a phrase meaning progress. And I don't think that's right.
And what do you think about the price for some of those, perhaps to some, heretical comments? Twitter storm is real for lots of people, and you've been always an early adapter of technology. You love the iPhone. You said you'd never met a smartphone you didn't fall in love with.
Right.
But there's a big price these days.
Yeah.
What do you think of this whole community of social media and what it does to the fabric of our society and what it does to our capacity to think?
It's a really good series of questions, though, that takes a bit of unpacking. And one of the ways I'd approach it, funny enough, is to come back to Greek myth. When social media began, and I rushed on board very excited, I thought, it's all gifted. This is the all-gifted world in which connection, information, education, art, this is going to melt down barriers between people. There'll be no more tribalism, none of this sort of racist
Truly
nativism.
An open, free society.
And in the Greek myth, the gods punish man by sending an all-gifted woman. And the Greek for all-gifted is Pandora. And she came down with this jar she was told not to open. But she couldn't resist it, and she opened the jar, and out flew illness, manslaughter, murder, disease, want, hardship. And from having it been a paradise, it seemed to become impossible. But that's the world we live in, a world full of ghastly problems. And the same happened with the internet. From having thought this is going to solve all our problems, everyone can communicate with each other, there'll be no misunderstandings, everything will be wonderful. Suddenly one became aware that it was a Pandora's box that had opened, and out flew trollers and all kinds of nasty and terrible grooming and all the horrors that have come out of it. And one then thinks, maybe it's just all worse now. Maybe it's terrible. I think it's settling down. I don't think people are thinking less or have less cognitive skills or less ability to relate than they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't think that changes at all.
But you've said it's settling down. It's settling down in America with the first real Twitter president who uses that as his personal tool. You've talked a lot about Trump. How do you see America today?
Well, it's terribly unfortunate, but I do believe in the wheel of fortune. I think things turn. It wasn't that long ago when it was Bill Clinton in America and Tony Blair in Britain. And they were at the top of the wheel of fortune, the rota fortunae, as the Romans called it. And now they're right at the bottom. And in 10 years' time, it would be all... I mean, it sounds as if I'm not caring about the misery and the absurdity, the vulgarity, the gangster criminality and corruption of the Trump regime. And all of that is unquestionable. We all know it's true. And people who don't are just being blind and foolish. But it's also true that he is achieving what he set out to achieve and that the American economy is probably going to prosper enough for him to win the next election, whether we like to hear it or not.
Isn't it your view that you think that the media, for example, and many others are giving him exactly what he needs to feed it?
Of course they are. I remember saying to someone, they used to say of Hitler that he was the most photographed man in history. And I would say Trump is the most talked about man in history. Every single restaurant table, every single bar room, every single coffee shop conversation, you could just hear the word Trump, 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 Trump. And I said, he's the Trumpolo. He's like a Dr. Seuss character. The more you say his name, the bigger he gets. All you have to do to defeat him is never mention his name. Just don't talk about it. Of course, because he makes money, because he's clickbait, because you see Trump says and you immediately press the click because you want to know what Trump said. And that's our fault, not his. And particularly the fault of, if I count myself as vaguely leftish, which I do, I don't see the rise of Trump or the rise of Brexit in Britain, I don't see them as a triumph of the right. I see them as a failure of the left. And that's one of the reasons I think political correctness has some part to play in that.
Fry is fiercely British. He admires the British monarchy and he's close to the royal family. He considers Prince Charles a friend, and it's reciprocated.
I think that probably, Stephen, I may be entirely wrong, is really a writer who was added in a rather like a Renaissance man.
The marriage of Meghan and Harry, he says, reinforces the key to success of the monarchs.
One of the remarkable things about the British royal family is its adaptability, its ability to survive. And although it's preposterous, it works terribly well. Now, if you imagine that Trump, every week, had to go up Capitol Hill to a sort of white colonial building in which Uncle Sam lived, who was the embodiment of America, and Trump had to bow to him. So Trump wasn't the most important person in America. This embodiment, Uncle Sam, meant more than he did. It would just show him that he was the servant of his country. And that's what a British Prime Minister has to do. Every week they have to go to the Queen, and it just keeps the politicians in place because they've got this image, this personification of the entire country and its history, a living flag, if you like, who goes around in a coach. And it's kind of preposterous.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Many would say it's completely old school and should be abandoned.
Well, there you are. That's like political correctness. Should. There are no shoulds. I think if it works, it's very foolish to get rid of it, even if it's unreasonable.
Stephen, it's no wonder Prince Charles thinks that you're a national treasure.
Well, I know, I'm fully aware of how preposterous this is, and you're quite right, it is. But it works. It works for us. It adds to the gaiety of nations.
And does Meghan bring an interesting dimension?
Yes,
I mean, this is theatre.
That's
this
your
is a
question,
new piece
and
of theatre,
yeah.
and
But also
somebody's going to pick up on
It's
that.
also a reflection on changes. You know, it's not just like, oh, I suppose we better allow it. It's kind of, everyone is thrilled for an injection of new blood, just in the sense of a new attitude, a new generational, a new way of looking at things. And I think that is what I meant about the adaptability of the royal family. They just somehow always seem to catch, and it's nearly always the women. I mean, our best monarchs have been Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II by far. It's clearly, maybe we should only have a queen rather than a king. I don't know. I shouldn't say that about my dear friend.
Your dear friend Charles.
No, quite. No, he'll be wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure.
Enjoyed
to
it.
meet you.
Thank you.
The Moment is up next. First, though, as we go to break, some really important news today. The Canadian singer Justin Bieber is now engaged. Reports say the 24-year-old popped the question to American model Hailey Baldwin while at a Bahamas resort. The two dated a couple of years ago and recently got back together after the Biebs and longtime girlfriend Selena Gomez broke up again. What do you mean? Better make up your mind. What do you mean? Hailey is 21 and the daughter of actor Stephen Baldwin. She was most recently linked to yet another Canadian heartthrob, Shawn Mendes, but the two claim to be just friends. While Justin's parents seem excited by their engagement, posting messages like, love, love, love. His fans, not so much, with one girl tweeting, if Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin are engaged, everything I've worked for since I was 12 was for nothing. I hear you, sister. What do you mean?
Are you ready for summer? Yeah! Us too! Check out cbcparents.ca for info on our cool summer schedule.
That pool is going to feel so good.
Chill out with hot shows like Beat Bugs, Addison, Cheer in the Rainbow Kingdom, and PJ Masks. Just don't get too chill.
Brain freeze!
We're heating up the schedule this summer on CBC Kids.
Stream hundreds of shows for free anytime with the CBC TV app.
20 นาที 4 young boys in Thailand have finally been freed from the cave where they've been trapped for more than 2 weeks. Thai rescue workers successfully pulled off the first phase of the operation. Today, the remaining 8 boys and their coach now wait for their turn. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is ramping up his efforts to help save the boys. This is so-called kid-sized submarine is now on its way to Thailand after being tested in LA. Musk says the vessel can be carried by 2 divers and it can pass through narrow gaps in the cave.
When officials announced that the first of the boys had been rescued, it was a scene of joy and relief around the world, especially, of course, in Thailand. And Lauren DeSica is a photojournalist with Getty Images. She was there in Chiang Rai, capturing the moment that the community heard the kids were finally out, and that is our moment of the day.
Honestly, today was probably the most powerful moment, seeing people's faces light up as the helicopters finally touched down. It was absolutely amazing. People just came rushing from nearby restaurants, from shops, holding phones up in the air, recording the moment that the helicopter was flying overhead and finally touched down on the airstrip. And it was dark, too. The sun had just set, so these families were waiting patiently for the boys to finally arrive. This has been a process where most people have been anxious, waiting, lots of sleepless nights, but this was a moment of just pure joy. I think at this point, people are feeling very hopeful. So I think the boys actually showing up, getting to the hospital, having some success is really making the community feel good about this.
Okay, well, I mean, it's good to hear the positivity there, but I know we were talking about this earlier. What I can't shake personally is listening to the logistics difficulties and imagining, how are they going to see each other? How are they not going to get entangled in the rope? It's terrifying.
Well, and the claustrophobia of it, which I would feel intensely, and I think we've talked about that. You talked about it. The panic that might ensue for those teenage boys. Yeah. There's so much challenge yet to go. And I should point out, it said 9 o'clock. It's in the morning there, so things will start up again. And hopefully they'll get more out tonight.
Let's hope so. That is the National for July the 8th. Good night.
Good night.